Morning, Claire again, coming from my studio in Irene and continuing our series on straight line quilting. You'll see in front of me I've got a whole selection of different rulers. Today I'm going to be showing you a specific block and how you can design a way to quilt it just with straight lines. I'm just going to draw with a pen. I'm not going to use a ruler just to make it quicker and easier, but I wanted you to just take a look at different rulers. This is my ultimate favorite. It is the mini scallop ruler. I just love it because it fits nicely in my hand, and I don't know, it's just my favorite one. You can use that one. Many people have the Versatool. This has got a nice little short straight line edge on it. If you're not doing too longer distances, then that one can work nicely for you. We've also got the Skinny, which is a narrower straight edge, and the normal straight edge ruler from Handy Quilter. I think this one is 12 inches long by 3 inches wide. But if you think about it, you've probably got other rulers too that can do the job just as well. This is a mini circles, but it has a nice straight line to it as well. So there's many different options in terms of rulers that you can use. Just make sure if you're on a machine with a frame that you've got your ruler base on, and that you've got the correct ruler foot. If you're quilting on a stationary sit-down machine, a domestic machine, or a long arm sit-down machine, just make sure you have your correct ruler foot on. Okay, so here we are. I've got myself a block here. If this were on my quilt and I wanted to just use straight lines, then I can actually do some really nice quilting on it. My first move when I'm quilting this would be to stitch in the ditch. So let's start here, because that's going to then allow me later access in. And I would be doing this using a ruler. Okay, I'm just going to draw it freehand for you here. Otherwise, me moving a ruler around all the time is just going to take a lot of time and get annoying for you. So even though my lines are not entirely straight, you get the idea. Okay, so I've stitched in the ditch around the block. Then I want to highlight some of the elements inside also by ditching, but I'm trying to think of a way that I'm going to get as effectively around my block as I can. So I'm going to come down and across, up and across here. So I'm basically outlining this inner square and the 4 corner squares at the same time. I'm not worrying too much about the triangles at the moment. So I'm going to come up, and this is the pathway that I would actually take with the machine. Okay, so my needle is over here. Now I want to think about what I'm going to do in these colored parts of the block. And again, I'm just going to use straight lines. So I would stitch in the ditch back to this point here. All right, so let's just remember my needle is currently there. And I'm going to give myself some points, guidelines. So on the diagonals of these blocks, I'm just going to put little chalk markers, 2 of them. So it's on the diagonal line, and I'm just eyeballing it. I'm not making it precise. And then on the triangles, I'm also going to put 2 markers in the center, lining up with the center point of that triangle. And I'm just going to do some very simple quilting. Okay, so my needle is here. I'm going to use my ruler to stitch there, to the corner, to my point, and back in. That corner is now handled. I haven't stitched the ditch around the triangle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do that ditch, so that's this way. And then I'm going to go back and do my lines. And because in total I've got 3 lines, I've got outside, 1, 2, 3, it carries me across the block. I don't end up at the start point again. I end up on the other side. That allows me then to get to my next point. So here, I'm going to do the same. That one's done. So the outside is number 1, then number 2, then number 3. So it travels me along. All the time I'm using a ruler. So remember, ruler work is slow, but it's going to be nice and accurate. Okay, so again, my needle is in this circle here. I'm going to sit and I'm going to think, depending on how much quilting I want in my block, that may well be enough. This is about a 2, 4, 6, 8-inch block. Maybe it's a 10-inch block. I haven't actually measured it. That means this center section is actually quite large. So I would probably want to do something in the center. So let's remember my needle is here. If I take a guideline halfway, so just again a chalk mark, halfway down each side of that square, I can stitch in on the ditch, so it doesn't matter that I'm double stitching. And then I can again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I want to do it again, I can, if I want to make that area in the middle smaller again, then I'm here, I can stitch this line twice, come down, across, up, back. On a block of this size, that is probably enough. If I really wanted to, I could perhaps put in another set of lines here. I could use the guidelines on my ruler and do a 1/4 of an inch spacing, and even maybe do a 1/4 of an half an inch spacing around the block this way. It just depends how much time you've got and how much quilting you want to add to the quilt. Sometimes you want to add a bit more, other times you want to have just plain and simple. See, there we go. Now I've got nice frames around it that really make it look nice. All of it just done with straight lines, one ruler, one stop start, and your block is done. Try and experiment. Print yourself out a couple of different block designs. I like to put, this one is laminated so I can draw on it with a whiteboard pen, but I also like to put baking paper or tracing paper over the top and then draw on that. That way I can use the same block over and over, and if I don't like my first design, I can try again. Happy experimenting and happy quilting.